Hi, I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. I specialize in games that can be played in 20 minutes or less, and this is my October 2021 top 10 cooperative games for kids ages 6 and up. I have 4 kids, the youngest is 2.5, and then the older 3 are 6, 8, and 9. So this list is most of the games we are playing right now, because if you play a game with a child right before bedtime and they lose, they're probably gonna cry. If you leave 2 children to play a game together that's competitive and one of them cheats in order to beat the other one, everyone's gonna cry. Cooperative games can be just such a nice way to put everybody on the same team and set everybody up for success. And there are a lot of really fantastic, engaging, interesting cooperative games out there, and we're going to talk about them on this list. I have all the games that I talk about listed in the description of the video below, along with a timestamp, so you can just skip to the one that you're interested in if you like. So let's get started. Cauldron Quest is the first game on our list, and it is a game where you are working together to try to collect the right ingredients for the potion so you can defeat the evil wizard. And it's by Peaceable Kingdom, which has a few games on this list. They are just a great company to check out if you're as into cooperative games as I am. And I really like this game because my kids like it. They can play it independently, but I also like playing it with them. Sometimes some of the games that are for younger kids, if I could just leave them to go and play it on their own, that would be okay. But this one I'm excited and interested in playing because it's easy to pick up, but there's enough going on that it's engaging and it feels interesting and fresh every time you play it. It has a really great theme and the components are sturdy, and my daughter likes this one as well, so it's not too, sometimes with some of the themes, I feel like it's really, I don't know why, a lot of them just kind of veer more to being suited for boys, but this one my daughter likes as well, and she is quite choosy. So this one, it gets a lot of gameplay at our house and has a very good theme. Check it out. Next up, we have Gnomes at Night. This is a newer game that just came out from Peaceable Kingdom, and I was excited about this one because it's a combination of, if you've played the Ravensburger game, Labyrinth, it kind of gives me that feel as well because you're trying to go around and collect treasures, but you have this board sitting up in between you, and your little gnomes are attached magnetically to each other, and you can only move the one on your side of the board, and you have to move it through this maze to get to treasures, but you can't move through dead ends on your board. You have to move through the maze, and if you get stuck, then hopefully the other person can take you through. So there's some elements of labyrinth and speed and memory. So it's a really fun combination, and this is great for kids who like speed games, but are usually pitted against each other, and so then you can be on the same team, and it's really fun. And I like how unique it is, and we don't have anything else like it, and it's fun to play, and it's speed, but like in kind of a more mellow way than some of the other speed games, and I like that. Like if you want to just ignore the timer and go through and collect the treasures while working through, you can do that too. So this is a great choice, great theme. We've been enjoying this a lot. Next up, we have our final Peaceable Kingdom game on this list. It is Space Escape, also known as Mole Rats in Space. And this came out a few years ago, but we just started playing it, and it is our family obsession right now. It is such a great game. Basically, you have 4 mole rats in space outfits, and they're trying to get to the escape pod in the middle of the board and get their emergency equipment along the way without going through a chute into outer space and without getting bitten by snakes, which are the only natural predator of the mole rat. So it is just, it feels like a strategic version of Chutes and Ladders, which I like. So it kind of feels familiar in some ways, but it's super fresh and new in a lot of other ways. People who play a lot of board games will appreciate this game. It is by the maker of Pandemic and Forbidden Island. So there are some legs to stand on here. And oh my goodness, I knew this was going to be a hit for our family the first time we played because we lost. And it's a challenging game. I'd say we lose a good percentage of the time, but the gameplay is so interesting, and you feel like, oh, if one or two things had gone differently, we could have gotten this. So you aren't completely dejected, even if you do lose. And as soon as we lost, we were like, set it up, we're playing it again, because we were so into it. It's one of those ones that I could get out and play weekly for a while, put it away for a few months, and then get it out another year from now and play it over and over again. It has great staying power and is fresh and fun every time we play. Next up, we have SOS Dino, which is by Loki. This game, you were trying to get 4 dinosaurs to safety on the mountaintops and have them collect eggs along the way to save them from the volcanoes that are exploding, and there's lava going around on the board, which is very cute. This is the one dinosaur themed game on this list. The gameplay is cute and fun, and it's a great level up if you had a child who loved Dinosaur Escape, another great cooperative game, when they were littler. This is a few years older, and all you're doing is you're drawing tiles, and then you get to place that. It's generally they're lava, and you're placing them in front of the different colored volcanoes, and you're deciding which dinosaurs seem like they're in the most trouble and moving them along. There are even meteorites that strike, and you don't want to get smushed by a meteorite, but they're pretty good pieces to come out, because then you get to move one dino 2 spots at once, which is a lot, which is really good. So this is just a great, if you have a kid who loves dinosaurs, they need a cooperative game to play, this is the one. Next up, we have another game by Loki, which is Detective Charlie. This is a whodunit game with only 6 scenarios, and once you've completed a scenario, you can't do it again because there's only one culprit. So I know for a lot of people that's a big thumbs down. I can only play this game 6 times and then it's useless to me. Pass. I was not thrilled when we got this because I didn't know that beforehand, and I was like, oh great, 6 times. But you know what? The game itself is phenomenal. It was so fun to play. There's a lot of reading involved for this one, which was great because it was great reading practice for my kids. Oh my gosh, did they want to read the cards to find all the clues and figure out what was going on and solve the mystery. And it was really well put together, and we have gotten to use it and reuse it because I can play it. I've played it with all of my children together, but I've also played it one-on-one with just my daughter, and then with my boys sometimes too. So I've been able to get more replay than I was at first concerned about with this game. And the game itself is so good. I think it's worth it even for 6 times. And for me, I took this to, I used it at board game camps in the summer. The kids were so into it. Everybody likes a cooperative whodunit. It was so fun, and nothing was timed. So it was just cozy, happy fun for the kids to do together. And so you do it 6 times. You still have all the pieces. Everything still works just fine. If you've done it, then you remember who the culprit was. So you can just package it up and pass it along to the next kid. So as long as you know what you're getting when you get this, it's excellent, but it is just 6 times. And it's pretty easy the first few times. Like, the clues are very mellow, very cute. But I don't think we got the final one right. It was pretty tricky at the end. You really had to think about it for the clues. And I was trying to help my daughter, and I was like, well, I don't know what this means. So it does get more challenging, but I think in a very age-appropriate way, and nothing is scary. It's all whodunits, but it's like, oh, who stole the chocolates? And things like that. So it's very cute. Kids get nervous if things are too creepy. Nothing's creepy here. Everything's cute. So it is a cute little game for what it is. Next up, I actually have 2 games for this slot. I have Zombie Kidz Evolution and Zombie Teenz Evolution. And I've talked about these games on a number of lists because they are so good. They are legacy games. And as far as I know, they're the only kid legacy games out there. And what that means is they change and grow with you as you play. In Zombie Kidz Evolution, you have your heroes, and they're basically, you roll the die, cute zombies are entering the school and you're battling them off and trying to lock the 4 gates, and then you win the game. But they keep on adding different elements as you continue to play. There are secret envelopes that you open as you progress. You are rewarded, win or lose. You get experience stickers. So even if you lose, it's not that bad. You still get to put a little brain sticker on the back of your rules booklet. And if you get to a certain point, then if you've played enough games, you get to open a new envelope, which introduces a new element to the game. New powers for your heroes, new powers for the zombies. And I have to say, we all lost our minds over this one. We played it compulsively. The kids wanted to play, I wanted to play. So there's Zombie Kidz Evolution. Even if your kids are older, get Zombie Kidz first. It is fun, even for older ages than it says on the box. I know a lot of people like to play up. Oh, my 8-year-old can play 10 and up games. That's fine. They probably still like games that are ages 7 and up. They can still enjoy those games. This is a lot of fun. I am an adult and I loved this game. I will say that we played this one with some kids for playdates. We were so excited about when we got this game. It was so much fun. We could play it for playdates and have other kids try it out. We had some family visit. And one of the things I love about cooperative games is my mother-in-law and her sister were here, and they didn't know any of the rules to the game, and they would roll the die and my son would do everything for them. Perks of cooperative games. If one person knows what they're doing, you can be okay. But in Zombie Teenz, it ups a level, the complexity. First of all, Zombie Teenz, the teens refers to the age of the kids in the game. So it is an ages 8 and up game with teenagers in the game. So don't get this for your 15-year-old thinking, oh, this is the teens game. It's for ages 8 and up. So we played Zombie Kidz Evolution, and then a couple of months later, for Christmas, we got my kids a zombie game, and we got them Zombie Teenz Evolution, and they were so excited, and I was so excited. And it fully lives up to Zombie Kidz Evolution. It ups the level of strategy a little bit, and it has a lot of the same elements, but where I felt like Zombie Kidz Evolution, the more powers and everything you got, you could control the game a bit more. So if you know what you were doing, it got easier and easier as you were going along. More stuff was happening, but it got easier. Not so with Zombie Teenz Evolution. It got crazy by the end. And you still have the same thing with opening envelopes and uncovering new powers and things that would happen to the board. And oh my gosh, it was amazing. And the thing is, again, like with Detective Charlie, people worry, oh, I'm going to play this a certain amount of times, and then it's going to be over and done with. I'll have defeated it, and then will I even play it anymore? Well, first of all, for Zombie Kidz Evolution and Zombie Teenz Evolution, you play it time after time after time after time. It was good we were obsessed because you have to play it a lot to defeat it. So, I figure we played at least 40 times each game. That's a lot. We got our money's worth out of it. But afterwards, they do have things where you can combine the two games together and you can still replay some of the missions. There's just not new things being added to the game. So they still get it out every once in a while and will play the kids from Zombie Kidz, take those characters and have them use their powers on the Zombie Teenz board. And in Zombie Teenz, they're trying to cure the zombies is the premise. So you're bringing little boxes from the outside into the center to try to create a cure for the zombies. So it has a slightly different thing that you're trying to do. The gameplay feels different. It didn't feel like I was just trying to do the same thing over again. But on Board Game Geek, they have a list of best-selling kids games, and these are both in the top 10. These are both, which is amazing because they're from the same family of games. But if there was one thing that if you haven't played this and you have kids that are at all in the right age to play it, I don't know anybody who's played this who hasn't been obsessed. They are fantastic. For the next spot on this top 10 video, I have 3 games because I make the rules and I could break the rules. So perks of what I do. I have 5-minute dungeon, 5-minute marvel, and 5-minute mystery. Because if you like one, you probably like them all. They are super fun, speed, cooperative games. For 5-minute dungeon and 5-minute marvel, they're pretty similar, but basically you have decks of cards and you're all playing out in the center to try to defeat bosses. And depending on what you've selected, you get special powers to take out certain things along the way. They're like obstacles and monsters, and it is stressful, but it's fun. And you can play this. This is an amazing game because kids love these games, but we've brought these along for adult game nights too, and they are very fun. These ones, my kids are very concerned about timed games in general. It stresses them out. And if you want to play this with kids, it's because it's such a good game. Every kid should enjoy this game. It's cooperative. It just ticks so many boxes. If instead of saying, okay, it's 5 minutes and that's it, if you just time it and say, you know what, we don't have to hit the 5-minute mark for the first time. We'll just have a timer and try to beat our own time and see how we do. That can relieve a lot of the pressure, and kids are still trying to go as fast as they can, but it's not like, oh my gosh, you just have 5 minutes, because it's intense and it's a lot to defeat it in 5 minutes. For 5-minute marvel, it seemed like that was a little bit easier, or my kids at least did better with that one, and they actually did finish within 5 minutes more frequently, but 5-minute dungeon was a lot. And then there's 5-minute mystery, which is like in the same vein, but a little bit different. It's basically an escape room game that plays in 3 to 9 minutes, and it has different scenarios, and you can play it over and over and over again. Because I've played a few escape room games. They're so fun, but they take a while, and then after you've done it, you're done. That's it. You've played the game. This one, you can do over and over again. And it has some elements. We really like the game Outfoxed, and it kind of feels like that in some ways, where there's like a decoder and you're trying to find the one culprit, and so you're trying to find different attributes that match up with that culprit, and that's your process of figuring out who it is. But for this, you have cards that have different symbols on them, and then you have this big decoder thing that you're moving things around on to have it match up, and then that's how you get your clues, and then you're eliminating suspects. So there are a bunch of different jobs, and this one, you can play with 1 or 2 players, and man, you better be on it. But if you're looking for a slightly more relaxed game, there's the same amount of work regardless of how many people are playing the game. It's the same game. So if you have 4 or even 5 or 6 people doing it, it can get a little chattier for some jobs by the time you have 6 people there, because you're just waiting on them to give you another clue, to earn another clue for you, and then you put the clue in, and oh, okay, we've got 2 of us going through to eliminate the suspects. And they kind of ease you into it. There were easier levels, and then medium and hard. But again, this is another one that kids love, but adults are into also. So again, I did a board game camp this last summer, and these were the runaway hits. I just brought 5-minute dungeon and 5-minute mystery for the camps. Kids lost their minds. And then I said, oh, by the way, there's a 5-minute marvel. And everybody wanted to play that one too. And I heard that there's a 5-minute Harry Potter version coming out sometime next year. So they continue. It's a wonderful, well done family of games. So if you have a favorite theme, maybe it's coming, but they're great. Every kid I know has loved these games. Next up, we have Last Defense, which is an app-based game by Funko Games. And this game is great for certain audiences and certain specific scenarios. So what you're trying to do is you have a group of unlikely heroes, people from the city, and there are invaders to the city who are taking it apart, like space aliens and spider robots, and you have to go and collect scientists. You have to clear out rubble, collect scientists, and then they use their science to beat the invaders. and it's timed. It's 20 minutes. You have an announcer telling you when new threats have arrived, and it's 20 minutes of time, which can be a lot and can stress out a lot of kids. This is one that I don't see us getting out every weekend to play, like, oh, it's another time to play Last Defense. I can't wait. Like, let's play again and again and again. But for certain scenarios, like if you have a birthday party or if you have a Halloween party or something like that where you need a fun one-time game to play where everybody's on the same team because nobody needs to cry at a birthday party, and you're doing something exciting that feels like there's a lot going on, but it's so easy to learn. There's not a lot to this. And it gets kind of close towards the end, but you can pause it if you need to. They don't ban you. So whenever kids would act a little stressed at my board game camp while playing this, I'd pause it, say, okay, do we know what we're doing? Like, you can take a breath if you need to. It's not like it just continues on and there's nothing you can do about it. So that helps a lot. And when I've played, there's not a lot of strategy required. You just have to keep on moving. When we've played, we've usually won with about 4 minutes left, which is a pretty comfortable margin. So it's fun. It's fun. It's a good cooperative game. Fun theme. The app is pretty cool. People will enjoy the app. So for if you have a birthday, I'm so tired of going to class parties and having kindergartners crying at the end of a class party. If you had something like that where you need something where people get to play a game together, but then everyone's probably going to be happy at the end, this is that. Next, we have Magic Maze. Magic Maze is a game where you have a barbarian, mage, elf, and a dwarf running through a mall that is created as you lay down tiles as they're moving through it. They need to steal their weapons and escape before the time runs out, and you can only move them in specific directions. So if you're playing it with 4 players, each person can only move it a specific direction. They're given a little token and you can only move them this way on the board or this way or this. And you have to do all of this without talking, which can be very challenging. This game is great for anybody who loves video games and wants kind of a video game feel to their board game. This is it. It seems like there's some time pressure here, and older kids are going to do better. But it's also great for adults too. Like, I'm excited to get this out and play this for an adult game night, but my 9-year-old son can hang in there and play this too, although the not talking thing is surprisingly difficult. I love this. The premise is hilarious. The gameplay is fresh and unique every time, but it starts you out simply, and then there's greater challenges as you go along. So there's always something new going on. You could play this over and over and over again and not get tired of it. And I appreciate they're coming out. They have a Magic Maze Kidz, which I have in the mail, and I'm excited to check out because anytime a game gets to enough of a level of success and popularity that there's a kids version, that's a good sign, and that one's going to be cooperative as well, which is great. And finally, we have Quirky Circuits. This is a programming game. You work together, each have your own hands of cards, and then you have to lay them down in sequence without communicating and have your robot perform whatever their task is for the specific scenario you're playing. There are 24 different scenarios, which is really great. And there are 4 different robots. There's a cat, a dog, a bee, and a robot. This is great if you're trying to introduce like STEM concepts to your kids and you want it to be interesting and not lame. A lot of the STEM games are so on, like, if they're too fun, they aren't actually teaching you anything about STEM, and then if they're actually teaching you anything about STEM, they're kind of boring. This rides the line and is so fun, and I'm doing some robotics clubs that I'm helping with at school, and these are spot on for those kids too. This is the first few scenarios, I'd say kids ages 8 and up can handle, but it gets a lot. And surprisingly, with small children, one of the hardest things about this is if you're turning you're programming it so the robot's going to turn left and they're oriented at a funny angle to you, that can really throw some little kids. That can throw some adults, to be fair. So what you're trying to have them navigating around and all of the different challenges you're doing, the first few work fine for younger kids with Gizmo, the cat. My daughter loves Gizmo. And then the other ones are, I'd say, better for older ages or just for adults to play together. This was kind of a surprise hit. I got it for me to play with my daughter because any game with a cat she's down for. And she likes cooperative games, so I was like, check, this is great. And to start out, we just played the cards down face up, which is what they say you can do for an intro level. So she was happy, we were having success, we could talk about it. It was very fun, great prep for the robotics club that she's in. But then my husband and I started playing it together, and I loved it. It was so exciting to see, like, we're playing cards face from our hands, we're not communicating, we're playing them face down. And they have a little bit of information on the back, like if you're moving forward or back or you're turning. And so to have that all kind of work out together, and apparently this was a surprise hit at like one of the big board game conventions a few years ago. And I think that's because it was a lot of adults playing it. And the graphics seem a little bit childish, but the gameplay is fantastic for adults. So I think adults looked at it and thought, oh, this is a little kid game. And then they played and they're like, this is such a good game. And if it matters to you, the miniatures are fantastic. People who are better than me paint theirs, and somebody will in our house at some point, but hopefully it won't have to be me. But just amazing attention to detail. All of each challenge is fresh. Like you have the same general gameplay, but it gets more engaging and you're doing different challenges and different things that you're trying to have to figure out each one. So this is great for a kid, but I wouldn't play up for this one. I know a lot of people have genius little 6-year-olds. This is going to be tricky. Listen to what they say for the recommended ages 8 and up. Play 8 and up. You might need to wait on some of the more advanced ones for older ages, but like if you have a teenager, somebody older, or if you want a fun game to play with your spouse where you are on the same side, this is just fantastic. So that's it for my top 10 or kind of top 13 cooperative games for ages 6 and up. Some honorable mentions are Kraken Attack by Loki. That just came out and it's in the mail coming to my house. I've heard wonderful things. We are excited to play it. And also, Castle Panic and Ghost Fight and Treasure Hunters are amazing family cooperative games, but they play in 30 minutes, so I didn't put them on this list, but they are worth a mention. Cooperative kid games are our favorite in this house. If you know any games that I missed, please tell me. We will get them and play them because they are our favorites. And please subscribe to my channel. I post a couple videos every week and you can be up and in the know on what's going on in the world of board games. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time from Game Like a Mother.